Okay, we are going to reconvene to the regular meeting at 5:42. Correspondence, there is none. Policies for first reading, there is none. Policies for second reading, there are none. That brings us to our first opportunity for comments from the public. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to convene into the public comment period of our meeting. Although state law does not require us to hold a public comment period, we have chosen to do so because we believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns and issues. Having said that, please note that the board is here to listen. The public comment period is not designed to be a discussion. Accordingly, please do not expect the board to respond to your concerns and questions tonight. This is because we take your concerns and questions seriously and want to have sufficient time to process and research issues if need be. We will, however, respond to your questions and concerns at a future meeting or have the proper staff member get back to you at the appropriate time. Ms. Black will be keeping track of questions and make sure that they are passed to the appropriate persons. I'm assuming that you will be taking care of that right now. Okay. I also want to point out that under state and federal privacy laws, we are unable to entertain any comments or questions about school personnel. Please know, however, that we take personnel concerns very seriously. On these matters, we would ask that you go through the appropriate administrative channels. Finally, we recognize that right now our nation and our community are polarized on a number of issues. That said, we want our school board meetings to serve as an example to our students that members of our school board and members of our community can deal with controversial issues in a civil manner and demonstrate the mutual respect for one another. In that spirit, we will insist that all speakers and members of the audience maintain civility and respect for any divergent views that others possess. We ask that speakers please address their comments to the board directly rather than to the audience. In the unlikely event the meeting becomes unruly, the board will recess the meeting and return once order has been restored. The board will now entertain public comments. Each individual speaker is allotted 3 minutes. The individual time limits will be enforced so that as many members of the public who wish to speak may be allowed to do so. Please state your name and residency before you begin. All of that being said, does anybody have anything they would like to speak about this evening? Okay. There is a separate opportunity at the end of the meeting. Commendations, there are none. Old business, there is none. Brings us to the approval of the consent agenda. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Kathy. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Brian. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain?
Abstain.
Thank you. Appointments. Be it resolved upon recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education of the Whitney Point Central School District approve the 4-year probationary appointment of Caitlin Maslin, teacher of English to speakers of other languages, TESOL, and the TESOL tenure area effective September 1st, 2022. The probationary period of September 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2026 is tentative and conditional only, except to the extent required by the applicable provisions of section 3012 of the education law. In order to be granted tenure, the teacher must receive a composite or overall annual performance review ratings pursuant to education law section 3012-D of either effective or highly effective for the required number of years. And if the teacher receives an ineffective composite or overall rating in the final year of the probationary period, the teacher shall not be eligible for tenure at that time. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I hear Brian and Chris. Any questions or comments?
Go ahead, Lauren.
This position was Christine Gregoire did this. Her day was split. She was originally a special ed teacher, then she was a TESOL. She got her certification and she's retired. So we have hired a person.
So I actually know this young lady, she's from Portland. And I do know that and I understand from the application package, she's using her subbing for her process to be able to get her certification.
And she's certified. She got
Did
it.
she get it finished? Okay, that's what I just was curious because the state.
That's why her appointment is regular, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad that they did that.
Some they're processing and some they're not, but she did get it taken care of.
Perfect. Yeah, that was one of the every things that they were doing in the state to try to help us schools to get that process done. Thank you.
I abstain, seems how the last name's the same.
Are you
I thought the
directly
same thing.
related?
Well, I just asked because
She's not.
No.
I'm not directly related.
No, if you're not directly related, then no, you do not have to
It's in
abstain.
the family, but there's a lot of math.
Right.
She's very extended from both of us. What are we, second?
You do
second
not have to
cousins or
abstain.
Something like
Okay,
that.
now we got that.
Okay. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Any abstain?
I looked, I knew how far removed she was from us.
Be it resolved upon recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education of the Whitney Point Central School District approve the 3-year probationary appointment of Chris McAllister, music teacher, in the music teacher tenure area effective September 1st, 2022. The probationary period of September 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2025 is tentative and conditional only, except to the extent required by the applicable provisions of Section 3012 of the Education Law. In order to be granted tenure, the teacher must receive composite or overall annual performance review ratings pursuant to Education Law, Section 3012-D, of either effective or highly effective for the required number of years. And if the teacher receives an ineffective composite or overall rating in the final year of the probationary period, the teacher shall not be eligible for tenure at that time. May I have a motion?
So,
I have Eddie and Tom. Any questions or comments?
If it goes through, welcome back.
Yeah. I'm sure I will be seeing him this week, so.
They're not on Zoom. I don't think they are. The new hires aren't on Zoom or anything.
No, only one participant.
Because I know the next new hire is sitting.
Yes.
Thank you for telling me because I wouldn't have known. All those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain?
Welcome back officially.
Yep. Be it resolved upon recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education of the Whitney Point Central School District approve the 4-year probationary appointment of Emily Monteleone. Did I say that correctly?
Monteleone.
Okay, I was close.
Yeah.
Elementary education teacher in the elementary teacher tenure area effective September 1st, 2022. The probationary period of September 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2026 is tentative and conditional only, except to the extent required by the applicable provisions of Section 3012 of the Education Law. In order to be granted tenure, the teacher must receive composite or overall annual performance review ratings pursuant to Education Law, Section 3012-D, of either effective or highly effective for the required number of years. And if the teacher receives an ineffective composite or overall rating in the final year of the probationary period, the teacher shall not be eligible for tenure at that time. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Kathy and Chris. Any questions or comments?
Congratulations.
We're happy to have Emily back with us.
I'm going to have comments, otherwise I'll embarrass her.
Because you
I
like
have
doing that.
I have that opportunity. Emily actually was a graduate of the 2020 spring semester of COVID. So she got to experience life in its most unique form. And then she stuck around at our campus and did her literacy masters with us. And she was our tech grad assistant. So she worked with Jacob Paul and myself, and we had to do these special credit courses for all our students to try to get them ready for online learning and online education. And additionally, she went through our master's program. So I know Emily's skills and I know Emily's capabilities, and we are, again, one very lucky school district to have her.
I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. Jacob's going to be very happy.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Welcome aboard.
Congratulations.
Be it resolved upon recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education of the Whitney Point Central School District approve the 4-year probationary appointment of Samantha Woodard, elementary education teacher in the elementary teacher tenure area effective September 1st, 2022. The probationary period of September 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2026 is tentative and conditional only, except to the extent required by the applicable provisions of Section 3012 of the Education Law. In order to be granted tenure, the teacher must receive composite or overall annual performance review ratings pursuant to Education Law, Section 3012-D, of either effective or highly effective for the required number of years. And if the teacher receives an ineffective composite or overall rating in the final year of the probationary period, the teacher shall not be eligible for tenure at that time. May I have a motion? Thank you, Brian. Is that you, Chris? Well, I heard your voice. Okay. Any questions or comments?
Just that we're happy to have her here. She would have liked to come tonight, but she's like moving as we speak back into the area. She's coming back. She's got
Okay,
lots of
great.
experience out
I
of
was
state.
like, Woodard, where's this name come from? And then I realized,
Zach, yeah. No relation to Zach?
No.
no.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Election inspector resolution. Be it resolved upon recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education of the Whitney Point Central School District approve the following list of election inspectors and rate of pay for the sole purpose of the budget, bus, repair reserve fund, and Board of Education member vote recount. Rate of pay, $13.20 per hour. Cynthia Burchell, Deborah David, and Beth Harrington. May I have a motion?
So moved.
I heard,
Second.
okay, Kathy and
I'm
Tiana.
definitely in for this one.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain?
The only comment I would just say, I'm so thankful that all of those people here are willing to give up their time to do this. It's very important, and we're, can't tell you how much we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We all appreciate it. Okay, Custodians Association Agreement. Be it resolved upon recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education of the Whitney Point Central School District approve the employment agreement between the Chief Executive Officer and the Whitney Point Custodians Association effective July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2025. May I have a motion?
So
Thank you, Eddie.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Superintendent's update.
You know that we thank you everybody for making time to come together. I told Stephanie this is the only date that we could get even close to agreement or begrudging agreement for everybody to come together. But we needed to do that so we can have this recount, and you all know that it's really important. We want to get the history and the official documentation correct so that we can record it appropriately. And we thank everybody who gave their time to do that. So we're gonna have this meeting. We're gonna recess our meeting. We're gonna squeeze in a little training in between with Frank Miller that we were gonna do at a later date, but that sort of works out. And then we'll come back together and we'll accept the count that you guys will give us. And then that will become the official record. So thank you to everybody.
That brings us to our second opportunity for the comments from the public. Please remember that the statements I read earlier remain the same for this portion as well. Is there anybody who would like to speak this evening? Board of Education comments.
Glad to hear that there's been some movement toward the Custodians Association, trying to make it more livable and acceptable, making it easier to hire help. Glad to hear that.
Totally agree.
We'll stop inflation.
Why can't we do that?
Yeah. You don't have a magic
The
wand.
magic one, right?
And I want to thank the school for getting the summer program underway and all the things that's happening and the stuff that they're doing at Dorchester and the meals that are happening. I know it's not easy, and I appreciate everything the district's doing for our students and our families.
Anybody else? Okay. That brings us to our recess. Be it resolved upon recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education of the Whitney Point Central School District approve the motion to recess the public meeting at 5:57 p.m. to enter a private meeting with legal counsel. This meeting is exempt from the open meetings law under section 108-3. May I have a motion? So moved. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Chris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Thank you for coming, and again,
Yes.
congratulations.
Congratulations, Emily.
I need a motion to end executive session and go back into
It
regular
was an
meeting.
executive session.
It
was
was
an
a
executive
board
Legal
meeting,
counsel,
whatever.
private meeting with legal counsel.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
Oh, there it is, yep.
Okay, so I would like a motion to end our private meeting with legal counsel.
So moved.
Thank you, Eddie. And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Chris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, we are now back into public session. Be it resolved upon recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education of the Whitney Point Central School District approve the certification of the vote as follows. There were 433 total ballots. Proposition 1, budget vote. Number of votes recorded as voting yes, 364. Number of votes recorded as voting no, 64. Number of votes void, 0. Total number of votes cast, 428. Proposition 2, school vehicle vote. Number of votes recorded as voting yes, 342. Number of votes recorded as voting no, 85. Number of votes void, 0. Total number of votes cast, 427. Proposition 3, repair reserve fund vote. Number of votes recorded as voting yes, 341. Number of votes recorded as voting no, 85. Number of votes void, 0. Total number of votes cast, 426. Board members elected. Christine Whittall, number of votes cast, 220. Tiana Mosman, number of votes cast, 204. Number of votes for Brian Jecker, 185. Number of votes for Eric Scully, 181. May I have a motion to accept, to approve the certification of the vote?
Moved by me.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Eddie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain?
So can we just take 1 second to have comment so that Stacy can just share the process that you use so we can all have that as part of it?
Yes.
Numbers all match what I have at home too. The numbers all match what I have at home too. Except for one, but we're gonna explain it.
No, there were all different, each number was actually different.
Yeah,
from the
because
previous
last time we didn't have all void, we had some not accepted.
one. Right, so the one ballot that we void, last time we completely voided the entire ballot because of one section that was void. And so I checked in on that and it should have only been the section, not the entire ballot. So just on one ballot, the board member section was void because they voted for 3 people instead of just 2. So the rest of the way that we ran the count, there were 3 poll inspectors, as you know. And so one of them was nominated as the chairperson. That person read the votes I looked over that person's shoulder and made sure that they were reading the correct votes. And I also kept an eye on the other two people who were both tallying, and every 20 votes, they checked each other's numbers to make sure that the numbers matched. So there were double checks all along, all throughout,
Which-
so.
As compared to last time, just to refresh your memory, they took all the ballots and split them in half and had one person read to the other in the same room, and they did one count and didn't cross-reference, and they only each counted half the vote. And then that's why there was no cross-referencing at all. So we needed to make sure that that was right. And it does appear that every single thing is a different number than it
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
was. So there were, a
How did
number of
you have
errors.
Numbers that she just presented.
oh, no, from the previous
Oh,
certification.
sorry, I was misunderstood your comment. Okay, yep.
I would like to say thank you to
Thank you.
Stacy, first of all, for recognizing that there were some irregularities in the first certification, and also for all of the work that you did gathering materials and working on getting things together for the petition to go to the state. And thank you, Joanne and Shannon, for all the work you guys did on that. And
And thank you for everybody, and even the last minute scramble to
Yeah.
to do that more appropriately. And thanks for Frank for stepping in on that one too.
Oh,
That was great.
yeah.
Yes.
That's so bad.
Because the way we were able to petition, we changed that petition so that it was
Yep.
everybody in unison.
You were participants instead of
Instead of being-
respondents.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And-
So are we going to consider looking into electronic voting?
Yeah, well, so I think that we talk about that in public session. We could do that at a meeting, or yeah.
Yeah.
We will.
Okay.
So Stacy's gathered some costs and some information, and we will look at that.
Good.
Mhm.
But thank you all for
Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Thank
all the
you.
work you did. Even if it didn't change the outcome of the votes, knowing that we can be sure that if this is accurate
Mhm.
is a huge thing.
I
Removing
feel
suspicion.
much better than.
Yeah, so,
Yes.
happy about that. And Joanne, will you report back to the public of how that transpired? Okay,
Mhm.
because that's.
Yeah, and I will. And
Goes
the
on
only
the
thing, and
website.
just so you know, the people who did the original vote felt terrible.
Certainly.
So we'd like to, they were
Right.
preserve their dignity a little bit. We're just going to talk about the fact there was just some mistakes in the process last time, and we knew that, and we needed to correct them for the
Yes.
record.
Yes.
So yes, we'll publicize this. Yay.
And then, I know some people expressed concern about integrity of the process. I don't know if you plan on saying anything about that and how well it was handled this time around. And certainly, we're looking into
Yes,
other, okay.
definitely will.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
I just
think
know people who asked about it, so.
it takes a long time. to
Yeah.
happen, as you See, and when the polls close at 8 o'clock and then the count needs to happen, I think, that may play into the
Sure.
rush and.
Mhm.
Yep. People are human.
Yeah.
They get tired.
Or they're just trying to get it done to try to expedite things. And
Yeah. You're trying to mean, show how you're doing. so-
Well, thank you again. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Stephanie gonna adjourn the meeting.
Yeah, sure.
She's
Yeah,
still
okay,
writing stuff down.
So may I have a motion
So
to
moved.
adjourn the meeting at 9:17 PM? I have Kathy and Chris.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained?
No oppose.